All right. So, first episode. Let's do a little self introduction. There's your name and your kids, what their ages are. And we go for that. Go from there.
Okay, I'll start. Okay. Hi, I am. Oh, don't look at the camera. Oops. Hi, I'm Michelle. I am a 40-year-old single mom. My daughter is 11, turning 12 next month, and she is a very interesting soul.
Hi, I'm Agnes. I'm a first-time mom with almost 2-year-old.
Hi, I'm Colin, married to Agnes. Yeah, so first time dad as well.
I'm Petrina. Seasoned mom, 3 kids, age 6, 12, 15.
I'm Ashley. I have 2 kids of my own. One is 15 this year and the other is 21. And I'm also stepmom to 2 older kids.
Okay, I just thought of a question to ask. So I think I want to ask this question. I want to ask, maybe describe to me a special moment that you had with one of your kids. The strongest memory you have. Maybe we start there. Anyone want to share first? Maybe Agnes can share first.
Oh,
It'll be easier to choose.
for me, I think it was the first time she say "mama." I think that was the time where I realized, oh, I am your mother, and she recognizes it. And it's the start of our connection where she actually voices out something and I was just randomly sitting at home, minding my own business, and she was just playing in a playpen, and then she was trying to get my attention. And then she was like, "Mama," then I was like, "Huh? I got some sound." Then I'm like, oh, then I just felt like so much love coming out, and I just ran to her and gave her a hug. So that was my special moment.
That's really nice.
Anyone else?
I can chip in. Continuing your special moment, I had one very special moment 2 days ago. I saw a Instagram post about how we stopped carrying our kids after they turned 10. And this lady filmed herself and her daughter running to her and jumping on her to be carried. And I was thinking, I don't think I can carry my daughter anymore. So I said, "Come, Emily, I want to carry you." And I carried her. I couldn't even lift her up, like just maybe an inch off the floor. And then I told her, I said, "I think we need to film this, right? At least remember, this is probably the last time I can carry you because she's almost the same weight as me now." And yeah, I thought that was magical. And sometimes we forget, as they grow, we forget that we forget how much we used to carry them.
Yeah, and they grow so fast.
Yeah. So I think because your kids are all adults already. Yeah. What was the last memory of you carrying them? When
I
the
still
big
do.
one?
I try,
the
but
big one.
Max is a bit chops lah.
Yeah, a bit hard.
He's 6 and then so heavy. But my special moment is holding hands with Ted. Because I said, one day you turn the angry teenager, then you not want to hold my hand, but now he's still holding, so that's very sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember before, my daughter is 15 now. And she saw her brother go through puberty and all the emotional ups and downs. So one day, a few years ago, she said to me, "Oh, Mom, I'm not going to be a moody teenager." Lo and behold, she still became somewhat a moody teenager. But it was that moment when I saw her and I said, "Why are you dancing all over the place?" And she said, "I'm dancing because I'm happy," with no sense of being self-conscious. And even though she is sometimes a moody teenager, I still frequently see the very sweet, very kind girl that she was showing at that time. And I'm the one that needs to be hugged a lot. So my 2 kids will come. My daughter will sit on me because she's taller than I am. I already cannot carry her. She's a few centimeters taller than I am. She'll sit on me to hug me very carefully because that's what I require. And my son doesn't like to hug me, but he will do it as a duty because mom needs it. So yeah, I still get hugs from them.
That's really sweet.
Okay, I will share now. It's different. Mine is different. So my case is so funny, right? So I think as parents, like especially when they're young, you're always like gonna show affection to your kid, right? You're gonna kiss them, you're gonna hug them. And my baby, when you try to do that, she'll be like, no. But then when me and Agnes are with her, what she'll do is like when we try to kiss her, she'll take her hand and she'll be like, "Oh,
Smoosh our heads
you guys
together."
kiss. You guys kiss." And then if we do that and we do that once, it's not good enough. It has to be like 2 times, 3 times. And then maybe she gives us a kiss. And I'm like, how does you know? How do you know, right? It's like, and then when you kiss, you can see her face. It's like, oh, like, and then when I see my parents, actually, you know what? It's hard because when I see my parents, and then I'm sure my daughter wants to do the same, and I also it's difficult for me to tell them, right? Like, you know, if you kiss, she will kiss you. So I'm seeing that and I'm like, wow, you know, sometimes the things that I learn so much from my daughter, like increasingly I learn more and more from her, like just observing her. Like there's another one. There's another one that was very, very impactful to me actually. It was quite young. I think maybe 6, 8 months. She was like on tummy time. And then we put the mirror in front of her. And then she starts kissing herself. And it's so funny to us, right? So we laugh. And then we keep laughing, it's quite loud, but we're not laughing at her, right? Laughing because it's funny. Then she suddenly stopped doing it and looked at us. You could see that she's very self-conscious. She got quite self-conscious. Then I quickly told Agnes, I was like, okay, let's not laugh. Let's not laugh anymore. Let's like encourage her the next time she does it. Then she started doing it again. It's like they pick it up so quick, right? So quick. And yeah, for me, it's like, oh, yeah, it's such an interesting and moving like experience, you know, becoming a dad for me. I think one of the big things now that has shifted from the past is recognizing that for me, I was I was a bit afraid. You know, I was afraid to have a kid. In the sense that I felt that initially my thinking was I need to solve my own problems first. I need to solve the issues in my relationship before I can have a kid. And I think recently I was reminded of that uh, from the friends around me. And then when I shared, I knew what I wanted to share, which is if I could tell myself one advice, would, you know, if I could go back in time, I would just say like, you know, there is no perfect time. There's always something that you need to work on. And if you're really intending to have a kid, you just try. I think that's what I learned, at least the last couple of years, reflecting on that. Um, and yeah, it's not a coincidence. Like a lot of the things I see makes me feel that way a lot. So when I have friends who already have a kid, I will always be like, why not you try for another one? You really did the hard part of having the first one. But maybe you guys can comment a little bit on that. I only have one kid now. I get a couple. So what was your decision into should we try for another one or when should we stop? I think I'm quite curious. Yeah.
Katrina, I think with 3,
I don't think there was ever fear in me to have kids. There was never a discussion of how many you should have. I think if ever had it his way, he wanted 4. So you must be kidding me. So that's why there's a bit of a gap between Ted and Matilda. Actually, 2.5 years. But then with Max, there was like a 5-year gap. It was one of those like, oh, maybe, right? Because you forgot all the pain, and then you get another one. But it's a perfect journey, lah. I would not have stopped at 1. But I did have the first miscarriage. So that fear before Ted was born is there lah. Maybe that's why he come out so like fearful also, right? Maybe it's the energy that I passed on. Because when you have lost one and you don't know why, right? Then everything is like, oh, scared lah. Then, of course, my mom passed on quite early, so I didn't have a reference point, right? I mean, I love my mother-in-law to bits, but it's not the same. So people say whatever you follow lah. So there's always a lot of worry and how to bring him up. But as you go along, like Max, like, you can see he's quite joyful lah. Because maybe I shifted also.
Maybe that's how it is. Because with my boy Ryan, actually with both my kids, we didn't plan. It just happened naturally. And now that they are so big, in hindsight, we keep saying, oh, if only we knew then what we know now. There's a big age gap between the two kids, 6 years. If we knew then what we know now, I would have had one kid every year. Because now it's not really empty nesting, but now with both the kids so grown, I miss the energy of having a lot of very loud, very active energy in the house. Now it's gone a bit quieter. You look up and you feel like, oh, are they on this level? Are they on this level? Where are they? I can't feel them. So it does feel like if I could have gone back in time, I would have had more.
Yeah, I feel that as well. Even at this stage, I feel that. Right. So I guess it's interesting. So the question we were asking each other was like, okay, is it better to have a smaller gap, better to have a bigger gap? Because in my own experience, being there are two kids in my family. So me and my sister, we are 2 years apart. And for me, what I sense is because we are so close in age, Agnes can comment her own experience. I feel like there was a lot of rivalry. And for a long time, we had not, I won't say a bad relationship. It's more like because of that rivalry, it's very hard to see eye to eye. And as we get older, now that we are adults and have our own lives and responsibilities, it's much easier for me to connect with her. That being said, it's still quite difficult sometimes. So we were sort of contemplating this. What was your experience?
So my sister is 1 year older than me, and it was a very fun childhood because we did things together all the time. Went to the same school, same activities after school, same tuition. Yeah, it was nice to have an older sister because for me, I wasn't so adventurous, and having a companion to do things together gave me like more confidence in a sense. Yeah, but then again, I couldn't have the chance to voice out my opinion sometimes because she'll be the one telling my mom, "Oh, I want to do this and stuff." And it's funny because sometimes she'll just steal my food, and I'll be like, "Okay." And I was like underweight last time, so. But overall, it was a fun
And
experience.
she stole all your food, right?
Yeah,
can
but
imagine.
going back to your question,
Yeah.
now we have a kid 2 years old, right?
Yeah.
And we definitely want to have another one. So like for me, before Ella turned 2, if I imagine myself having another baby, I wouldn't be ready because I'm not physically ready or mentally ready at that point. But now I'm closer, so we might be ready to try again. Yeah. Having said that, I think a lot of mothers like after giving birth, they don't spend enough time for themselves to be back to work, the right mindset. Because the major thing that happens to a mom after they give birth is like they need to breastfeed the baby. And that takes so much time and energy. I can't imagine how hard it is for someone to go back to work and still have to breastfeed. And I'm very lucky in the sense that I don't have to go back to a 9 to 5 job. So grateful for that.
Yeah, that was my observation as well. I mean, like, I was just thinking to myself, like, in many countries, your maternity leave is not that long. You know, in our countries, it's less than a year.
In
And
Malaysia, it's 2 months, okay?
okay,
Now
so
it's 3
I had
months.
2
Now
months.
it's 3 months. I had 1 month, but now my staff gets 3 months.
yeah, so my comment was looking at her and obviously able to be there to try to support her. Of course, I can't help in a lot of things. Was that I felt it was
Was he
really
really there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was, yeah. Yeah. It helped a lot.
yeah. I mean, I felt it was. I'm curious to hear your all of your thoughts, but I felt you know, especially as a man looking from the other side, it's like it's it's so hard to go back to work, you know, because the hardest part is not that can you go back to work, and you can, but the hardest part for me is like I just imagine it, you know, as a mom, like at 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, when you go to work, there's this guilt that you feel.
You should listen to all the moms that went back to work after giving birth, right? How was your journey, Michelle? After
Oh,
you
when I
gave
was
birth?
listening to all of you speak, I got quite emotional actually because I didn't have. So my mom passed away the same year that my daughter was born, and then I went through a divorce on the same year as well. So I didn't have the chance to even think of having another child. But my ideal plan was to have three, and I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom from the get-go. So because of the divorce, it was like the lawyers were telling me that I couldn't work, but I couldn't make ends meet. So it was a very, very tough situation. And without mom around, there was no one to guide me through being a mom as well. But when I hear you guys speak, it's like it feels really nice. It's really nice to have that normalcy. And I think why I am the way I am now and why I am so maybe entrepreneurial is because I need to do this for my kid. And I've been holding on to that identity. So throughout the whole journey, it's really shifting from that and just being a more present mom and being here and being there for her. But on the other hand, I've also been so well trained into trying to make money that I also have this very masculine point of view, right? But I must say that it's just really nice hearing this perspective because I've never heard this perspective. My perspective has always been like very hard. So I think I went back to work almost immediately in the sense that I was baking at night and I was baking cupcakes, selling to cafes, that kind of thing. I also had a miscarriage just before Emily. So it was very interesting because if you have a miscarriage, they say that you're very fertile.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So I think I got pregnant like almost 2 months after. So it was okay. But yes, that fear was always there, right? And I think looking back, even now, because I'm already 41, right? I did think about, so old already, halfway through at 35, should I have froze some eggs? Just in case I want to have another child. But I didn't. And I think throughout that whole journey, now I'm like, I still do think about it. No matter how old your child is, like Ashley was saying, we still do think the house somehow the sound changes as they grow. It's not so giggly anymore. It becomes more teenage like. So yeah, I think that's my memory of having young children, a young child in the house.
Yeah.
I wanted to chip in, right? Sometimes cannot plan too much, right? Like, oh, is it 3.5 years because I have one? Because sometimes you want, it may not come,
Correct.
right? So go with it. If you want it, then just try.
Right, I agree with that. And I think my thought was more like, because as I see how difficult it is to be a mom, especially, I think in our case, I just made a comment the other day. I said, even if I had no work and you had no work, and we would spend 100% to take care of Ella, still be hard. In the sense that I think we used to live in a way where you basically have support systems, right? You would live nearby to your, maybe even to your not immediate family. So maybe your uncles, your aunties. So there's always this sort of village vibe. Somebody's gonna help you. Somebody's gonna take care of the kid if you need to go to work or something. But now it is impossible, almost impossible. At least in Singaporean context, it's quite tough. And yes, I can hire help. I can hire a lot of help, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. So for me, it's really this like, yes, I want, and yes, maybe can't plan and you should try earlier than later. But at the same time, it's like I also want to. I'm sensing like you said, now you're more ready, right? So also sensing like, hey, it's you can't really rush into it, and if there is a gap, that we can factor into just as a. I mean, I won't say plan, but more like. Yeah, maybe it is planning. I don't know.
Colin, come on.
I don't know. It's just me, right? I just think like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a lot of my personal
Don't
experience.
plan.
No, I know. Don't plan. At the same time, it's like we did sort of plan, and then
The other part when Agnes shared
Yeah.
about. Also, I think before 2 years, if you
Yeah.
ask this question, I always get slapped lah, because the trauma haven't finished, right? I'm
Yeah.
still like getting used to being a mom. And like she's saying, a new role for me is more a loss of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody tell you what motherhood should be, right? And for me, my personal decision, you see ever, right, that doing confinement, life goes on happily, everything goes on, but for us, everything changed.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah, you're with the baby 24/7,
Exactly.
like you lose your social life whatsoever. Like I say, no mom support. Who do you confide in? You suck it in lah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true. I think for the first I lost all my friends. Just from the divorce and everything, I think I just did everything alone. But my sister always says this: if you didn't have Emily, you wouldn't be here. You'd probably be a hippie in South America or in somewhere doing yoga and teaching yoga. I said, that is very true. It's very true. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even run a business, to be honest. So it is a blessing. And sometimes you never know, like you don't plan it, then suddenly things change and the dynamics of the family will change and it's meant to change as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the element of unplanned for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's also my observations, right? So I would see, let's say in the class that we go to, I would see a mother with a child, and okay, she's stay at home, right? She's tending to the kid. There's all the resources at her disposal, right? In Singaporean terms, so we have one or two maids just for one kid, and basically no other responsibilities other than the kid. And she was complaining to me. Of course, for her, I think there was the added layer of like cultural shock. So she's coming from like, let's say UK, right? So she hires help, and the culture of the help is very different, right? They're coming from a different country, they have very different habits and all that. And she was telling me of her difficulties, basically communicating to the help, saying she doesn't like certain things, and they basically just, it's not that they don't want to listen, they just don't know how to follow the instruction. And then I just shared with her, like, in my own situation, I just try to use the help for like basically how daily house chores, like maybe cooking, cleaning, all of the tending to the kid. I try my best to either do it amongst us or maybe immediate family, so that, and so basically it's like you can hire the village, but the village is a pirated version.
Yeah, but some people don't have a choice.
Yeah,
They don't
true.
have the village.
Correct. So my commentary is more like, when you can hire the village, it's still not going to be ideal.
Yeah.
There's something fundamentally.
No,
There's some
it's,
fundamental
I think
thing
it's
that's-
more like just see what comes up rather than thinking about hiring. Or what if one day we can't hire anymore? Or but what if one day we have AI robot nannies? It could go like both ways, right?
True.
Yeah. So are we limiting ourselves and saying we don't want any more kids because we can't hire good help, or that we can't find the supposed support that we think we need for the child? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So I think, yeah, so my to add on to that, for me it's not so much like if you don't have the help that you don't have a kid. For me it's more like there is no help that can help you. I mean, in the immediate case, even if you have so-called a lot of resources. So for me it's more like how can we find new solutions, right? Basically. And I think one of the things that we just shared the other day when we were speaking was um, in our societies, as much as we don't have this like village spirit anymore. You know, you interact with your neighbors for many years, but only recently
Yeah,
you
that ask
ask
for
for
help.
help, and they were more than willing to
Yeah.
help. And so we don't have this like I said, this culture is gone. I think there's a wisdom to it. I said, right? And so for me, it's more like, you know, how can we
Bring it back.
yeah, bring it back? Doesn't have to be in the same way, but you know, in a modern way, right? Whether it's just by having community, having support, like you said, you didn't have support, and it doesn't have to be physical, right? Can, you know, we don't live in the same countries. We catch up. Like the, you got the phone, you got the Zoom, and so for me, it's like how do we create this support system? Like me, you know, as the husband, a little bit looking from the outside, I'm just looking at it and saying, how can we help? Because I'm listening to these moms and I'm saying, by right, you have all the resources. So means why is it not possible? Like something is missing. And maybe it's not money.
Can I also just say that not every husband is as supportive or as hands-on as you would be?
Agree.
Mm.
Yeah. So I mean I also feel like as that's true and I thank you for saying that. But I also feel like for a lot of guys, I think if there is an avenue, they will try. If there is something, they will try. But I think at the moment, it's like for them, it's like, okay, my purpose is to provide money, for example. That is my biggest purpose. And so that's why they do the work. But one of the biggest gift I felt that, and I only just recently realized that you guys can tell me whether you agree or not. But I felt like for a feminine to tell a masculine, basically, let's say I earn, you know, $500,000 a year, and it's more than enough for all my livelihood. For my wife to come and tell me it's enough, that's something that I don't know. I can't describe it. I feel like if any man hears that, it will be like the greatest gift they can ever.
Really? I don't
In
know.
the
I thought
sense-
I thought I would all the time that we don't need so much. Let me ask him again.
I don't know
How he
Yeah,
feels.
you ask him. Maybe you say so much that it's for him it's normal already. But I sense that, right? Because I look at my peers, I look at some of the people I hang out with, even if they're older than me. I always sense that for men, we always have this like, yeah, more is better. More is better. I should just keep going.
But I disagree that the man is looking for more because the wife has
Yeah,
expectation
exactly.
of
It's more of the man ego or whatever that they are
needing more.
chasing. Nothing to do with us.
Yeah, for example, my husband has never ever, he doesn't actually know how much I spend
Yeah.
every month or even every year.
Yeah.
Because what we make or what we own is enough to cover the expenses. So profit or growth of wealth is not at the top of his head when he thinks, okay, I've got kid A, kid B, and so on. It is just, I think, a culture thing for a businessman to think, okay, I have this, I can make it bigger, so I will make it bigger.
That's correct.
And then I have this bigger, then I'll make it bigger, then I will make it bigger. Until the day comes when he himself thinks, oh, now I want to pursue something else. Maybe it's a personal growth, maybe it's a spiritual growth, like what he's embarking on right now. And it's never about the family finances, because if you give me 5,000, I will make a
Make do
5,000
with it,
budget.
right?
If you
Yeah.
give me 500,000, I'll make a 500,000 budget. So it's not exactly that. I do agree that, at least in my household, it is still very traditional. The bulk of the bringing home the bacon is still on the masculine's shoulder. And we are at this point in our life where we have already realized that there is actually not a lot of pressure from anywhere. That means the kids or anything else. To earn a lot of money or to create a lot of wealth. It is more that if you have sufficient, that's great. If you have not, then create. But it's not the be all and end all of what we are doing right now.
Any other comments? Agnes, what do you think?
What's your experience like, Agnes?
For us, it's quite different because I used to work with him and do a little bit of that. I'm not sure actually.
That's fine. That's fine.
What do you think?
No, yeah, I see that. I see that perspective. Definitely, I can see that perspective. And my sense is like, I think there are phases. I think for masculine, like especially at the beginning part where you're creating your value, whether you're married or not, it's, especially if you're not married, I guess you just keep creating. And then once you get married and then you have kids, then I feel like, I mean, I would say there are a few ways to think about it. I think that's one way. If I need more, I can create more. But then there's also this bulk of people that will be saying more is better. More is always better. And sometimes they go up to the tippy top of the mountain and they still think more is better. And there are examples that I've cited already.
We shared just
right?
now,
That we
right?
shared just now, right? So, somebody could be running a company that is the most valuable in the world, and he just shared, right, on a podcast that he still wakes up and thinks his company is 30 days from bankrupt. When I saw that, my sense was like, if he can shift, right, and say it's enough, so much things can change, right? Wife and do we need to wait to that point?
I can chip in on
Yeah,
this
tell me.
different perspective a bit.
Tell me.
Sometimes for people, it's like running a marathon. The people that want more, maybe they want to start with 5 and it became 10, 15, 50 km, right? And we will always hit a plateau. Some people's vessels are much bigger and they can hold more, and hence they can also help humanity more. So for this particular person, maybe his 30 days to bankruptcy is the way he pushes the company forward. But he is also helping all his employees' families, and the world around him. And that's just the way he is. And I guess it's not really so much so he should shift, but that is who he is. And he's passionate about work. And sometimes, if that's his passion, who are we to say it's not aligned? It may not be aligned with me personally, but it may be aligned with that person who's doing it. Yeah, and the goal of being human is to be aligned with who we are, and remembering who we truly are, right? So I think having said that, I do see your perspective of not being enough, and not to say not being enough, but some families or some households, the feminine tends to be a bit more like, well, you're not bringing enough money, and then sometimes the masculine will be like, I'm doing the best I can, I can't do any more already. Yeah, so I think that one's more like a mismatch rather than a failure of the masculine lah. In that sense,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I think for me, I'm just commenting on the phases, right? Like, I think something has to happen there for it to change, right? So I'm looking at like if most of the peers that I talk to, they are like, the mortgage is this amount, the car payment is this amount, I need this, right? And how does that shift to I have enough, I don't need the bigger house, don't need the bigger car, because the bigger house and 2 cars is not going to change your life, right? So, but when do you say it's enough, right? I think there's a difference, because like for me, I imagine for myself, like I won't ever stop working, right? In the sense that I have to do stuff. I want to contribute. I want to create value. And I told Agnes recently. I said, look, some days I look at the bank account and I think to myself, if that number is times 1,000, times 100,000, what do I change in my life right now, immediately? I was like, still gonna come here, I'm still gonna do this podcast. We're gonna use the same studio. I don't need to hire a better crew. Because for me, it's like the point is to do the thing. And having a better crew, having a better studio, having a more fancy place, it's not gonna change the content or intrinsic value of what I'm trying to achieve. Right? Or sitting in a plane would be a great example. I'm a person, I just hate getting scammed. So for me, it's like if I get from A to B at the same amount of time, why am I paying 3 times more? You know, sure, there's comfort, there's more comfort, there's a nicer meal and all that type of stuff. But for me, it's like, is it really worth
So
this?
no omakase, just give you the Wagyu beef.
I mean, look, I guess I'm fortunate. You know, I've gone through so many experiences. I think we grow due to experiences, right? Not really
Yes.
because of age.
For sure.
And I fortunately have gone through so many experiences in my life. I've gone, you know, I used to run a wine company, so I've gone to, you know, many of the top estates in the world. I've dined in the best Michelin restaurants in France and all that. And when I talk to my peers, you know, whether it's winemakers or chefs, we always go back to, we just want great ingredients, simply prepared, well executed. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to have a long story. And there is a dichotomy of what's happening in that industry now, right? You have, maybe it's more like a show sometimes, which there is a value to it. I think it's
Some people
okay.
like
Sometimes you want to sit down, you want to be entertained, that's fine. I think like when I keep getting when we discuss, it's always about there's this some sort of purity to this pursuit of gastronomy, right? Which is again is informing you about nature because it goes back when you talk to the farmers, they don't say I'm a winemaker. You know, when you go to Burgundy, they don't say I'm a winemaker. They have a specific word. They call it vigneron, which is actually a word that says I work the land. I work the
That's
land.
beautiful.
Right? So for me, when I reflect that into other things in my life, it's like, what's the essence of what I'm trying to get? Like, why in Singapore, you know, I had a car, I sold it away. But why did I do that? Yes, I saved some money. But I think why I went there because when I was traveling with Agnes and we were basically using whether it was public transport or even a taxi, we were present with our kid. When we were present with our kid, we could interact with her, especially with public transport. I was like, why not doing that? Like, what time am I saving? If I don't need to save that time, might as well. You know, in Singapore, we have a great public transport, public infrastructure. You know, and I noticed that when I'm with her, traveling in the public transport, she's so happy, she's so interactive, and even more interactive than the playground. Because I told her, I said, "Oh my god, I save money, man." Right? So yeah, for me, it's like it's the essence, right? It's like, are, are we able to ask that question to ourselves? What are we actually pursuing? I think sometimes we don't really ask that. For me, I just naturally like to ask that question, which sometimes is torturous, but at the same time, it's like the more I ask, the more I realize what is really meaningful to me. And I feel like a lot of people, you know, if they start asking that question, like maybe there's some interesting answers. Maybe. In my case, it's been it's been really helpful. Um, I don't know where am I going with this, to be honest.
Is this still on parenting?
Yeah, it's still on parenting. I think you know, as I you know when I interact with Ella, for me it's like I look at her. I think the one thing that is very stark is you know she starts babbling some words. You know, and I remember many years ago my father you know recorded a recording of me when I was very young, and it sounds almost the same, almost the
really?
same sound. It's almost the same babble, and I'm like, damn, you know, she is very alike me in some ways. and it's innate, right? There's this innate nature of people, right? And I from young, like I'm a person that would assimilate the rules very quickly. At the same time, it's not because I wanted to be that way, but I was taught that this is what you do.
No
You get
other
the
way
good
lah.
cut, you get the good marks, you go to the good school, you get, and then you do.
Then you win at life.
Yeah, yeah.
At the
then
game
you
of
do-
life. That
And
board game.
I'm a person that plays sports. So for me, it's like you give me a target, I try to win, right? And and as I go on and I do these things and I realize that I don't know whether that target is exactly for me. It's not exactly for me in the sense that maybe it started my journey. I think I'm thankful for that. But after that, then that target shifted. And I was lost for a moment because so many people around me didn't understand what I was trying to do, right? Because I was the first one in my friends group to basically, start appreciating wine. So at that time, they were like, "How are you doing? Why are you doing this? It's boring." And then 5 years passed, and now they are like, "Can you teach me?" I'm like, "But I stopped drinking." And then they're, "What do you mean you stopped drinking?" No, 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 you don't stop drinking. You know so much. Like, please, like, continue. And I'm like, and then I had to question myself. So I was like, okay, wait, actually, why, what are they seeking from me? Like, I feel like I like to go out, I like to explore. And from there, I accumulate some sort of understanding of the thing and then I share it. And so I told this friend, I was like, maybe that is why you follow me, right? That is why you want to experience what I've experienced. And maybe it was a difficult conversation with him to understand, but yeah, for me, it's like, I think as a person, it's like, how do we try to keep true to yourself, uh, even when, like, there are things around you that say, you should be this, you're good at that, you should stay course. Like, how do we trust ourselves?
The essence that
Yeah.
you were talking about.
How do we trust ourselves? I think this is the question. And as a parent, you really have to practice. Because sometimes you say to yourself, maybe I should control what my kid is exposed to. At the same time, it's like you can't control everything.
That's one of the biggest struggles I have the first 1 to 2 years. Because for me, I felt like I needed to control the environment so much for her to be in the best house as possible. Um, how do I explain? Like, I felt like I was controlling too much, but I caught myself at a certain point, and I was like, hold on, I shouldn't be controlling so much, and I should just let her explore as much because she won't know what the boundaries are, and she won't be able to execute those boundaries herself. And I know that setting boundaries is uh, what's important. So I'm still figuring out how to let go of this control in my mind because I'm so anxious and I like to control everything. So
Can you elaborate further what do you
Yeah.
mean about control?
yeah, in the sense that okay, I need to control um, where she runs around in the house. I need to control what she touches. Those small things. But I think they add up because she'll be more conscious and like scared of to do something. And I can see that in a lot of kids where they run around and then after that they look for their mother. Oh, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be doing this. And I find that being a small kid, you shouldn't question yourself so much and just follow your own path.
Talking about control, but with older kids, is it hard?
I feel like when I was listening to Agnes, I'm reminiscing the time that because now I have 21 years of experience, so I look at it from a wider time frame, and I feel like it has gone full cycle somehow, and the cycle is still continuing. With my son, when he was born, I looked at him, first time mom, made a lot of mistakes. And then I thought to myself, oh, what do I want for this child? And the first and most honest response was, I want him to be happy and healthy. So these two were my KPI. Is he happy? Is he healthy? So fast forward school years and so on. With these two things that I want for him to be happy and healthy, there were certain events in his life where he made certain choices. There were certain outcomes that didn't fit into my perception of how a child or how a teenager and eventually a young adult should be like. And a lot of it was a struggle within myself because it didn't fit my idea of what it was like. And then I think back, but what do I want for him and out of him? Anyway, in the first place, when I gave birth to him 21 years ago, my biggest dream was as long as he's happy and he's healthy, then that's good. So sometimes I have to think back to my original intention in order to make it okay for myself.
I love that. I think I need to remind myself of that
I like
too.
that as well.
Because he will have his own ideas. He will, like, his dad is a businessman. And I was just sharing, does everybody need to be an entrepreneur? Maybe he will find more happiness working for someone or being an artist or any other thing besides doing business. But that's not for me to decide. That's for him to explore. And moving on to the second child, maybe because he's a daughter, it's slightly easier. What I still want for her is also for her to be happy and healthy. So sometimes when she do certain things that also do not fit into my husband and I's perception, I thought, is this getting in the way of her being happy and healthy? No, it's not. Then just let her do it.
So liberal.
So it's actually a practice of detaching from the immediate, taking a step back and seeing in the grand scheme of things, will these actions or decisions that these kids make right now affect them for the rest of their life? No, it will affect them for that moment, maybe for a short term, but in the grand scheme of time, it's not really that important. So why is there such a huge struggle? Why do I want to be so combative about, hey, you listen to me, you do it as I plan? No, it doesn't need to be like that, because at the end of the day, the outcome, the result that happens is not contingent on that one thing that the mom and the son are fighting about, or the mom and the daughter are fighting about. It's really not necessary. So it's a bit like taking a step back, looking at the big picture, the longer picture, and trusting that they will find their own. And we are here to support them in a safe environment.
So how do you equip them to better navigate life, right? To me, I always think about that. Well, we want to say, yeah, I love you as a soul, let you be. But you know, there's still that part that I feel I also need to prepare you in my best ability so that you can go through everything, you know?
We don't come with a manual, right? So when our mom was taking care of us, being first time moms, I'm sure she has made a lot of mistakes, which actually
Is it that okay?
doesn't bother me. I'm still alive, breathing, it's still okay. And I think with my two kids, it's also the same thing. With the first child, maybe I did try a bit too hard. And with the second child, I pulled back, and now she's the one saying, okay, I want to do this, mom. Can I have this? You support me to do the things I want to do. So she is academically very able, straight A student, but her interest is actually in doing very arts and craft thing, which I support wholeheartedly. And to me, I feel like as long as she is happy and she's doing well, whichever path that she choose is fine because there's no cookie cutter.
So let me ask you, if she happened to not be a straight A student, right, and want to pursue this artistic side, would you have given the same answer, or you're like move it up a bit lah, like from E to B, then maybe you
I
can
think
pursue.
yes, because academic is only one measurement, and it's a very easy to use. It is a very easy thing to slip into thinking that that is the only one. Is the one that is measurable and convenient. There are so many other things that are not measurable that may be a bit not so easy to get, but it's there. It's like when in my generation, when people ask, "Oh, write an essay about what you want to do when you grow up." In my time, it's I'm going to be a policeman, a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, and it's like, oh, there's only A, B, C, and D, but it's actually A, B, C, D plus 100,000 other options. Those are just the visible, readily available in terms of information and pathway that we can see. Nowadays, they know a lot of things that we don't know. They see a lot of things that we don't see. And I feel like if I try to stifle her and say, oh, academically, you're really good. In my time, you have gone in the science stream and then taken a STEM subjects and then move on. It would have stifled all her creative juices.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for her.
And my daughter was also very creative. She always tells, sometimes she'll go to the, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a businesswoman like you. I said, no, don't. It's too difficult. I said, what else do you want to be, right? So she loves dancing. She loves to like look at the mirror and do all her cape. I don't know. I don't know how she does it. And I always tell her, why don't we find you a performing arts school, right? Try it out. Try everything out. I mean, I had the luxury, my parents were very kind to give me the luxury of trying whatever I wanted to try. And I think that was what I appreciated. Yeah, I did everything from randomly playing the drums to playing the clarinet to doing a little bit of marine biology here and there, like just random stuff. So yeah, that's what I appreciated as a kid.
Yeah. So actually, I have a comment on that. So, you can. So, for example, if your child likes music and you want to teach them an instrument, I just had this understanding, which was quite a good analogy. So basically, when you learn music classically, it's like learning a dead language, like Latin. No, really. So it's like Latin. You can learn Latin, you can read Latin, but it's not a live language in the sense that it doesn't. When you teach them music via a more unstructured way, like jazz, they learn how to use music as a they can speak, they can talk, express themselves. So for me, when I see my child, I see her, she loves music. And I'm like, how can I expose her in a way where it doesn't immediately give her rigor and structure? Where she's like, I don't like this. She's telling me to do this, press this button 10 times, do the other button. But how do I was like, maybe it's doing through play. Literally just play. Just go there, play. The other kids that already play, then you just play along. I don't know how it works, but I love that example because it's like, yeah, dead language and some like they can express like we use language to express ourselves, and language evolves. And for me, like because of maybe our conditioning and also our upbringing, like a lot of the things that we are more familiar with has a lot of structure, right? But then when I look at science at the highest level as well, like when Einstein developed his theories, it was his imagination got him there. And as I've connected more with my feelings and my emotions now, I feel like the way I do things is so different. And in fact, the intuition and the feelings inform the structure, right? So for me, it's like, how can we encourage
this,
this,
yeah.
right? Because it's hard, even for me, I'm like, where do I bring her? I don't even know where I bring her. And some of the best jazz pianists that I know of, like they would tell their stories, and it's totally different from a classical piano. The way that they will learn, they will have a pivotal teacher that just taught
Yeah.
them try. And I'm like, oh, how can I find that? And it's so hard. In our countries, it's like you learn piano, okay, go here, that's great.
very
one, grade two,
mechanical,
grade
yeah.
three.
ABRSM,
Yeah.
exam,
Yes,
what
exactly.
level? Because
Right.
it's measurable.
Yes, because
It's
yes,
measurable.
you're right. That topic, I think I really resonated with that because it's measurable. And if it's not measurable, can we accept it? That we don't know whether our kid is, maybe that is a question.
But is this cultural, right? Is it because of our rote learning system in Asia? Because I grew up in Australia, so it's very different from like everything that I've learned in school was not based on academics and marks and all that, which I see very different. Like when I see my peers, my friends in KL, a lot of it is based on what they know. That's the safe zone, right? It's like, oh, if we get above 80, we're safe lah, that kind of thing. So is it cultural, and how do we change that in an Asian perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because in China, it's so like everything is about school. They have the dragon. I can't remember what they call it anymore. Dragon exam or something where it's like our SPM and it's like very high end exams. So there's that culture aspect too, right? Whereas Europeans are more like
Schooling is like that, right?
Yeah.
It is a one-size-fit-all solution
yeah,
to hundreds and thousands of kids who cannot be a one-size-fit-all.
yeah,
You cannot sit 40 students in a room and say, okay, all of you, if you get 80, that means you're a good student for this subject.
yeah.
So what happens if I don't get 80? For example, like my daughter, she's taking the IGCSE. And in IGCSE, there is a triple science and the combined science and the coordinated science. So in my generation, if you are really smart, you are expected to take triple science. That means the chemistry, physics, and biology as 3 sciences. Then you get 3 grades. And my daughter also, she had to come and explain to me her decision of taking combined science because she has been getting very good grades on all these sciences and she likes science, but because she wanted to take another subject, and there is a limit to how many subjects she can take. I'm going to take this subject, and so I will give up triple science.
Right.
And I said, but why? Because this subject is not a so-called a more valuable subject.
Yeah.
And she said, it is my interest. It may not be useful, but I want to learn it. And I'm like, okay. And I went and researched. I said, okay, this combination of subject, what will it create? And I said, oh, it really has no correlation. Do I allow her and support her, or do I insist that, hey, no, if you go to A levels and then university, if you take this combination, that those are dead weight subjects, and these are the valuable subjects. And I realized in the grand scheme, in the whole timeline, I said, if I stop her from learning something that she has passion for because it's not so valuable, then I'm essentially telling her that whatever you are interested in is not, it doesn't matter. The old fashioned, listen to your mom, that kind of thing. So now she has given up triple science. She's doing the combined coordinated science, and she will take those 2 so-called interesting but not so valuable subjects. And I'm perfectly fine with it. And then she said, oh, mom, I didn't know it was going to be so difficult. So what do you feel about it? Yeah, I'm going to put in extra work to learn it because I chose it and I like it. And that is maturity. That is growth. That is taking responsibility for her own choices. And I'm so glad. I'm so proud of her.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's really nice. We're lucky to have you to give us perspective from a
Long time
a
frame.
long
Been there,
time
done
frame.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know. I really liked it when Ashley was saying take a step back,
Yeah.
and the battle, right? Is this particular thing going to affect everything that much? It's true. That is so true.
Because there's always going to be friction, and we can choose how much friction
We want to
we
engage.
want to engage in.
How does this make you guys feel as newer parents?
A bit more relieved. Yeah. Because I mean, I won't know what a kid will like in the future, but I would like to give her as much freedom as possible, and yeah, find her own journey and be happy, happy and healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely think about it. So, because I reflect on myself, right? So when I'm young, my parents, my dad especially, like, just let me do what. So I had that sort of experience, right? You want to do sport, you go to the sports school. Go be the first batch. After that, didn't want to pursue that. He's like, okay, go back. Then after that, basically during uni, he was like, go overseas. I was accepted locally. He was like, go overseas. You know, he was almost pushing me to go to China at one, which I actually got a scholarship to go there. Then go. And in fact, even my undergrad, when I initially chose business, and like maybe 1 month before I entered, I was like, can I change? Then they're like, yeah, your grades you can change. Most of other subjects you can choose. So I changed it to chemical engineering. And for me, maybe it was the other way around. It was like sometimes I had the dilemma of like, what should I do? Nobody telling me what to do. You know, they're like, do anything you like. I'm like, I don't even know what I like. And I can see that sometimes kids they do want some direction, or at least a just an opinion, just to bounce off.
True.
So for me, I think maybe
The balance
maybe
lah.
yeah, maybe there is some sort of balance, and but I think more importantly, it's a game of depends, because every child is sort of different. So when you sense that child, like I I would think like if I would have dealt with myself, I would be like, yeah, maybe do what you like, but at the same time, it's like, is in my experience, this is what if you go this path, this is what happened. Go this path, this is what happened. Or this person chose this path. You know him. Why don't you ask him a question? Ask him some questions. I'm not. Yeah.
A bit more guidance and breadcrumbs
Yeah.
lah.
Maybe a little bit more.
Then
I'm not saying that it might be better, but in my opinion, at certain points, I maybe needed a bit more structure, just to give me some idea. Because, but at the same time, on the other flip side, is like I had to go through that experience of asking myself what I really want. Right. So in that sense, then when I figured out what I really wanted, then it's quite different. I know I tried it. I've experimented around. This is what I want. And so yeah, I don't know. Looking at my own kid, I feel like she has. I think my reflection is more like in myself. I have so many things that I like, so many things that I feel like I could do, and I want to do in some sense. And I think I've been always told in some sense that do whatever you want, but if you choose already, do that only one thing. Like do that one thing. And I'm like, it doesn't really make sense to me, Vic, because there's so many people that do so many things. Well, I'm not saying that everyone does it, but especially coming into what we are observing now with AI, right? It's like people can be running $1 billion companies with 12 employees, or they can be running multiple companies, which maybe the advice in the past would be like, that's not possible. So for me, it's like it was. I heard this story. I think it was actually informing me a little bit of what I was feeling. Is there was in the past there was this guy. His day job was a lawyer. You know, he was like 1800s or something. He was a lawyer, but at night when he was around his family, his wife and kids, he would just try to solve math problems that had not been. And he actually solved some of them, and he actually progressed the field in a great way because he just liked it and he just did it for fun. Or even Albert Einstein, right, in the patent office working on his theorem. So for me, it's like, why should I stop the other passions that I have, whether it's doing a new project like this, something else? Like, how can I also give my kid um, that feeling? That, okay, you can try. You can try. You when you need me, you come. I will try to give you my opinion. I think this is what I'm sensing now with my kid. It's like, how do I balance these two? Because I've got that side, the very far end of the like, do whatever you want, and then I see the other side with some of my friends, maybe some of your experience. Now it's like, how do I adjust to this child? This
So I have a kid in university, and the stepkids are also older, so they've been through university. And the question that I was asked before they entered is always a, what if I choose wrongly?
yeah.
And my answer was always, then do it again, then change, then do something else. Because you will never have all the answers. And sometimes you do not also have to follow the tried and tested path. Like my boy, he's in the final year of his degree, and he took this degree because it was a very general degree, and he did not know what he wanted to do. But he was also not ready to think of leaving the schooling system. So he asked us about it, and I said, well, what do you feel like? I still want to study. I said, then study something that you feel would be interesting to you. So he selected something that he feels is useful. I said, okay, fine, go ahead and do that. And if you finish it and you feel like you want to do more, we will support you. If you finish it and you feel like that's not what you want to do, or that is absolutely what you want to do, we will also support you. Because there is nothing for sure. A lot of my peers, they went for engineering courses. But in my time, when we finished university, there were not a lot of need for, because at that time, mechanical and electrical engineering courses were very much in vogue. So out of 10 students, maybe 7 would say, okay, I'm going to do that. So by the time we all graduated, there was a lot of engineers in the market with not enough engineering jobs to support them. A lot of them turned to other things. So was that wasted? I don't think so, because it is the rigor of tertiary education, right? And I was just sharing that I have an old classmate who, in her late 40s, started going to med school.
Yeah.
And she's the oldest houseman around. But I'm guessing that because it is her passion and she has the conviction to do this as an adult, that she would be even more passionate about it. So chasing a dream is not something we do at the end of high school going to university.
Yeah.
It can also be something we do when we are actually nearing retirement age.
Yeah. There's no right time to start, right?
Yeah.
It's always the right time.
Yes. And there can be multiple dreams. There can be multiple interests. Yeah.
And there's no one right way.
Yeah.
Because like with my 3 kids also, right, it really, like you said, every child is different. So you see like Ted will be a bit more clueless, don't know. Then you have to support more, you have to give more ideas. Then you see Matilda, she clearly knows what she wants. So you don't have to tell her what to do. You know? So it's like if you are so fixed on, I want to do it this way, then if she comes out another way, then how? So all this planning is like wasted, right? So just follow the journey.
Yeah, just follow, adapt.
Yeah, I'll
Be
share,
very present at every moment. lah.
I'll share what my daughter told me at 10, 11, 12, 13. So at 10, she told me, Mom, I'm going to become a scientist. At 11, she told me, Mom, I'm going to become a businesswoman. And then at 12, she said she wanted to become a script writer. And then after that, she wants to become like a designer or crafting. And now her latest hobby is baking. And all of these are so diverse. And I'm so glad she's getting to try all of it. And at the end of the day, if she chooses one, that's good. If she doesn't, it's not wasted. That time, energy, passion, and curiosity is not wasted because it is building all the different parts of her that makes her an interesting person.
Yeah, I guess my comments were also like in my own reflection. There is, like, you're right. There is no right answer. Like, even if I retroactively go back to parent myself, I don't think I will have that. I think that's my feeling now. You guys. Yeah, which informs me now, right? So, which is what I've been feeling is like just to let them explore, give them the opportunity to explore, and let them inform, tell me what they want.
I think some kids are very focused and they know from a very young age what they like. I know someone's kid who is very focused on one sport, and she would wake up super early, train 6 days a week for years. And I thought to myself, wow, that is really going deep into one thing and specializing. And some kids are like they nibble, they nibble a bit of this, they nibble a bit of this. They become a jack of all trades. Doesn't necessarily mean they will become master of none, but being a jack of all trades also mean that they can see a very big picture.
What other things, like, are the questions that you ask yourself, like, in this journey of being a parent? Like, what is the most common other questions that you would ask yourself?
Don't screw up.
But that's not a question.
It's a reminder.
Yeah, reminder, yeah.
It's a reminder.
The question is always how to get them to unlock their true potential. lah. Like, when do you support? When do you push? Right? Like, it's a fine line. I don't know about the rest of you, but I find that sometimes it's quite a fine line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, we say yeah, we love you and we let you be, but then like
Yeah.
deep down,
You still
I
have
know
the-
that I have a certain
Yeah.
expectations. Also, we have to be truthful, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Have to push a bit.
I
If
have-
don't push, she
Yeah.
won't even brush her teeth. It's like, go and brush your teeth.
Yeah, I know my 2-year also, don't brush teeth, no. Run away.
Yeah. I get what you mean by that because a couple of years ago, okay, for context, we were talking about IGCSE and the IB program. So I was explaining to her what the IGCSE program was, what the IB program was, and her decision to take either one. So in IB, you have to take an instrument, a musical instrument. So one day she came home and she said, "Oh, Mom, I want to learn flute." I said, "Why do you suddenly want to learn flute?" Then she said, "Oh, I tried it out in music class, and at that time she was doing the IGCSE, and she's still having those general music class, which is part of the curriculum." Said, "Okay, today at music I learned flute, and I think it'll be easier to learn than piano or violin. So I want to learn flute." Okay, fine, you choose it yourself, I will support you. So I found her a teacher, I bought her a flute, I sent her for class for 1 year, and I never heard her practice. not a single song. Okay, that is a very expensive investment for no single song. At the end of the day, after 1 whole year, she came and told me, I want to give up. I said, why? You told me you want to learn flute. And then she told me she did that because she thought I expected her to do that. I said, why in the world would you think that I expect you to do that? Oh, because in IB you need an instrument. And so I have to prepare myself for that. I said, honey, but you don't have to take IB. So I think children will notice what you say, don't say, and all the spaces in between. And because she was trying to please me, she made certain decisions that went against her own will. And I wasn't even aware of that. I was absolutely clueless. I was just thinking, why do you come and tell me you want to learn this, but put absolutely no effort into it? It turns out she was forcing herself because she thought she has to do it. So, in terms of how much guidance or how much expectation, it's very hard because they will also read our energy and our body language, the things we don't say, and then make their own assumptions and make their own decisions based on those assumptions. So that was also a learning point for me.
I feel that's the biggest fear I have when I look towards the future. That whether my kid will do something because she thought of something, but I think it comes down to like communication. If like a teenager wants to do something but is also scared, in a sense scared and not sure, but doesn't have the courage to voice it out. That's what I'm afraid of. So how do you guys like talk to
I'm very I think if you guys know me, I'm very open with my conversations. So I just yeah.
Or you
Everything
just say,
yeah, just say
tell me everything.
yeah,
is
just
it?
tell me. Yeah. Or I try and dig it out or yeah. But what Ashley said is true. They're watching us all the time. And they're actually a mirror of us. They are showing us all our strengths and also our weaknesses. They're also showing us everything that they trigger us about is probably what we are doing to them too, I suppose. Yeah. So I don't know. Good question though.
For me, it's also having those conversations with my elder two, lah, right? Like if I have struggle or if like something really terrible happened at work or whatever, right? So I do share with them the struggles so that they don't only hear the good things, right? So then sometimes they'll come and ask, Mommy, how's your day today? Was that case resolved? I was like, you're asking me? It's like, yeah. So they don't see that world is always perfect, right? But do we dare to share?
Yeah, I think that's very good.
But you know, I have a friend who sends her daughter to the Waldorf education style. And apparently below 8, you're not allowed to tell them the truth. So basically they live in it's like an imaginary world, and that's how they curate that dreamer mindset mentality. Yeah,
Like
because
not telling them Santa Claus is
no, like there was a fire. I think there was a fire on the news, and she was telling her husband about the fire, and the daughter was like, "Huh, there's a fire? Like bad things don't happen in the world." So it's a very different way of parenting, and I found that very different from how I would parent, but also interesting. It was a perspective. Yeah, so it's like,
that's
oh no,
actually
no,
really
that fire is just a in a movie. It's not real. Something along those lines. Yeah.
To
So
not scar
basically,
them
below
lah.
8, yeah, they don't have any bad emotions.
I'm gonna do some research on that.
I could be wrong. It might not be
Yeah.
Waldorf. It might not be Waldorf.
Okay.
It is a particular methodology to
Okay.
parenting. Yeah.
It's interesting
It is.
for sure.
Yeah. Not my style, but interesting. Yeah. But for you, you also talk to them directly. Do you sugarcoat or do you talk to them like they're your peers?
Uh, it's very funny. So sometimes when I drive my daughter back home, she'll play her music, and sometimes in the songs there are some swear words, and then she'll look at me and then she'll say, "Did mommy hear that?" And I'll be thinking, how much of that does she actually understand? Telling you these kids understand everything. Um, and as I mentioned, there's ups and downs. There are cycles. So at the beginning, when they learn a lot of these so-called more adult things, they will keep it to themselves and they will pretend as if they are still very young, very naive, very innocent. Both my son and daughter. And eventually, when they feel safer, then they'll let us know, "Hey, mom, we know all about it and we are okay. Don't worry about it." And I realize nowadays is very stifling for them because in the olden days, yes, we are parented, but our parents worked, they put food on the table, and then they left us to our own devices. Once a year, my mom will look at my report card and say, "Okay, no problem, that's it, go on to the next year." But nowadays, the kids are, "How's your day at school? This week, what is the progress?" There's so much reporting. There is so much scrutiny. I feel like that's why sometimes I also feel like they get too much attention because, like my husband, he grew up in a village and he got into a lot of trouble. Um, and his mom knew nothing about it. And look how well he turned out.
Yeah.
And I think he was able to do this because in the 365 days, all the times that he got into trouble, they were unrecorded. So he had the freedom to do everything he wanted, try everything he wanted. Whereas, like my kids, if they do something wrong, they know the school will email the parents immediately. If they skip class one day or they are 15 minutes late, the parents will know. You have handphones monitoring apps, you have tracking system, everywhere they go is tracked. So even if you don't monitor them, obviously they know they don't have as much freedom as us in the old days. Good and bad because the world is also not as safe now as it used to be. But I can imagine it gets very stifling for them. So returning to that question, do I have honest conversations with them? I feel like it is a matter of discernment. Sometimes you have to see whether you want to see. Sometimes it is also good to know, um, but to not query them at every single, like, nitpick every single thing because at the end of the day, who likes to be constantly monitored?
A little bit like dealing with Alphas and Gen Z team members. A little bit. It's a very different world now though, with social media and
It is.
yeah,
It is.
very, very different.
Yeah, it's very different because like last time if you wanted to know something, take some time. And you need to put in some effort. Now they want to know something, assuming you have no parental controls on their phone. They have instant information and everything. Right. So you can't stop that. Right, in some sense. So how do you challenge them?
It is. as I said, my kids are a bit older. And when they were younger, I was very worried about all this, especially with my boy, because I didn't know what kind of things he was encountering in video games and so on. As they grow older, I find that micromanaging them actually can bring about a lot more harm, because they need to learn and encounter and deal with things as they come. If the parent is constantly saving them from their mistakes or the potential to make mistakes, then it also creates an environment where they're so scared to fail or to do anything or to even take one step forward. But before 12, I would put app controls,
Yeah.
safety controls.
Yes, my struggle.
and
I
so
blame
on.
it on the smart TV, right? Like, I can't turn off the YouTube. I want to hide all the remote controls.
Oh, I put a pin on the TV
Oh,
until she stopped using the TV. She
Oh, that's a good
she
idea.
got so fed up. I mean, the younger years, yeah, she just didn't use it anymore.
yeah.
But she
Since
uses
we
the
are
phone.
since we're on the topic, so I had an observation about some of my friends' kids, right? So the first time, usually when I'm seated with some children, usually I can interact with them pretty well.
Well,
But also I noticed that a lot of kids, of course, they don't really know how to interact with adult. Maybe because they are used to devices. If they're shy, they just hide away with their devices. So the first time I interacted with these four kids, I was like, oh yeah, they can hold a conversation. That's pretty good. And I still haven't realized yet. Maybe one of the big factors why. So then, okay, to put into context, also, two of them are 7 and two of them are 10. And I know both parents. Then one time we went to a dinner, the four kids were in the corner, and four of them were just talking amongst themselves. How is this happening? So I was like, then they told me, oh yeah, they don't have any device, like no phone, basically. That's very cool, right? So what is your opinion on this? Like, if you had a choice, like, would you, and how would you do it? How will you? When will you introduce it, or
I think the one with the younger kids.
No phones.
no
No
phones?
phone. She only got her phone recently.
Okay.
Because I needed to call her. Not that recent, actually, a few years already. A lot of time limit. A lot of time limit, and I've seen kids that get angry when the parents take their phones away. You remember the one I told you she climbed out of the window? I took her phone away for a week, and she's like, it's okay. But I've seen kids who they get really like agitated. And I think it depends on the parents. Australia just did a social media.
Yeah, they ban social media under a certain age.
Yeah, yeah. So she was there in Perth when they started the ban, and she's like, "Oh, everyone is." But then they're all playing Roblox, so I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know what the
It's hard
ban
to draw
is,
the line, right? It's hard to
Yeah,
draw the line because, like, last time when we watch shows, it's like it's on the TV.
yeah.
So you have to put in the thing, and you can only watch that.
Yeah, you can't replay,
Now
right?
on an iPad,
You press
there's
rewind.
other choices other than the show.
Yeah, if you don't like, you just keep swiping,
Yeah.
so the attention span is so short.
Correct. Exactly. So how do we? I mean, I don't
Don't
know.
introduce lah, as
Yeah.
long as you can lah.
I think that is
The,
that is
the, the
probably
problem
point.
is it's not about you deciding to introduce
Correct,
or
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
At school, when they all their peers,
yeah.
I remember
that
my
is-
girl came back in tears one day and said, "Mom, I'm the last one in the class
That has a phone.
that doesn't have any device." And I think at that time she was 12, turning 13. So you mean all your friends have devices already? I said, yeah, all of them have devices. So I had to go and check. Do all of them have devices? So some of them, they have beat up devices. And I realized these kids, it's not about getting the best phone or a new phone, or it is actually just getting a phone. Because the phone allows them to join the class group chat. It allows them to have to continue chit chatting. And I said, you spend so many hours at school with your friends. Do you still need to continue chit chatting after school? And I realized that typical friendship dynamics nowadays, they do depend a lot on their regular chats. And therefore, if you are not in the chat, then a lot of times you cannot keep up with all the chatter that happens in class,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you will get excluded because of that.
It's like us as adults, right?
Yes.
Similar.
Yeah, it's the same. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I also do find, and so I was very worried about it. But at the end of the day, eventually we gave her a very simple phone at that time to start with, because we wanted to contact her when she was at tuition and say, hey, come down now, we are here, and so on. And after some time, I noticed that the amount of chatting that she does, at when she first got the phone, is like the new chat comes up, a notification comes up, then she will reply or she will check and so on. Now it's like she can put the phone away, don't look at it, and then check the chat and say, okay, this is happening in my class, or this is happening in my class. But she doesn't have that urge to be on constant replying mode. She'll go and put it away, and then she just play music and she'll do her sewing or whatever it is that she decides to do at that time. And I guess that comes with practice, right? That comes with familiarity with using technology, practice,
How's her-
and discernment.
How's her consumption of social media?
She likes to use Instagram to send me videos of things that she wants to eat. So her
That's
consumption,
a form of communication. lah.
yes.
Yeah.
Or she will send me cat videos and say, "Mommy, I love you." So she will use social media with her friends, look at reels, but I think she does control it quite well. And I think it's not total shutdown of all of this, but more of training them to be able to discipline themselves and say, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing this with this for fun, for entertainment, because you don't have to be so serious and study 24/7, right? But you also have to check in and make sure that she is consuming
Appropriate content.
appropriate content. And it's easy to tell because when you see Instagram feed, all the algorithms will show. And we look at it,
Yeah, I guess.
cat videos, food videos.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I guess the issue is that before I imagine when I was young, you had different types of games. So you play something, after a while you get bored. You can switch to now one device has everything. So it's like
But I mean, I've seen some families as well where the whole family after dinner they will all
yeah,
scroll. So I think that one is also family habit.
for sure, for sure.
So if the parents are doing it, then the kids will automatically also start consuming.
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess that one also plays a role.
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like I mean we are guilty of the same, right? Like sometimes I'll be on. I just noticed that like a lot of people, even my peers, like to hold a conversation, tough, not easy. Like the typical questions will be like, okay,
How's the weather?
yeah, I mean it's typical questions, right? After that, it's very tough. It's very tough. You can't really go into a topic deep or something like that. It's more superficial stuff. I feel like that's one of the things I really want to instill, right, in my kid, right? The ability to communicate, right? The ability to connect. Okay. Because for me, it's been something that I think I always seek, and I was always curious about, and hence I worked on. Um, and then of course you go through the normal cycle. Right? Initially, you want to be liked, so you get curious about what other people like, right? And then you try to connect to them. Then after that, it's like I wanna speak about things that I like, and then people that like that maybe come to me some way. So I think that's for me that was a really enjoyable experience. And when I could connect with these kids, I saw like, wow, they have so much joy, when they could talk to me. Oh yeah, I like this. Oh, you cook this chicken so nice. Like, how do you do it? Can you tell me? Then I'm like, wow, that's such a nice interaction. And with most kids, it's like, hi. After that, it's like, okay, play on their game or something like that. It's like, oh, like maybe it's me because I also I maybe that's the reason why I don't really like pets in some ways because they can't communicate back directly to me with words. Like my sister's a vet, so she's the other spectrum, right? She loves her animals and all that. I do love animals. For me, I like aquarium. I like to look at the beauty of the fish, but they can't communicate. And for me, I think the I guess one of the uncertainties with a kid is always like, will I be able to? I guess that is where the feeling stems from. And
Why is there that fear though?
because everyone's different, right? Like maybe for me, at least in my experience with my sister, is like we sort of hate each other, but we just can't really connect.
What about you and your parents?
Um, yeah, I think I'm quite similar to my father in some ways. With my mom, I think there's always friction there. She has certain perspectives that don't align with my perspectives. Also, of course, at now becoming adult and basically running the family and running my own family, I also see them now as people as well, right? As people, they also have their challenge. And I sense that in my mother's case, maybe she she didn't really have an opportunity to explore what she would like, maybe in some sense. So she's still sort of maybe still sort of figuring it out in this. And she avoids the question by making herself busy. It's making herself so that she's occupied. So I know it's tough, family is difficult as we all know. I want to be as honest as and authentic as I can be. At the same time, it's also knowing, like you said, sensing when you should say everything and sensing when you should just know. And
Yeah.
right. So I guess for me, it's this uh, reflection, right? Like as an adult, as a person that's running a family, it's like sometimes you don't have somebody to confide or or at least identify with them. I'm lucky I have Agnes. She hears a lot of the things that I go through. At the same time, sometimes there is no solution immediate. So it helps obviously to express it. At the same time, it's like, okay, if there's no solution immediately, then now what I choose to do is I focus on myself. I say, okay, if I can't directly help or have a conversation with this person, then how can I, basically see their perspective better, understand where they come, even if I can't have that conversation with them. I think that is some of the challenges. So for me, and then reflecting back to my child, of course, maybe this is a what if. I try not to do too much nowadays. Um, yeah, so it's I think for me it's a little bit about how do I manage all these different people, different personalities at the same time, not try to want to be the one to solve the problems. I think this is the issue, right? Like a lot of masculine, we want to solve the problem. We see the problem in front of us, we're like, I must do something about it. So now I'm practicing how do I not say don't do anything about it, but it's more like, can I just sit with it and let it play out? You guys have other perspectives?
I got lost. I got lost that way.
Yeah, there was a lot of things happening, I think.
What was the?
I think the gist is like that, right? So it's like now as a parent, so we're talking about parenting, right? So then you also reflect that you also have been parented. And now there is a clashing of views, right? My parents have a view of how to parent. My parents-in-law have a view of how to parent. I have a view of how to parent. How do we combine these different perspectives in a healthy way, maybe sometimes? Because there will always be disagreements, and that's fine. How do we? Yeah, I mean, you guys maybe have more experience dealing
I'm
with
very
this.
blessed. I have no. I'm me. All me, right? So I have no input from anyone at all. I do what I want. Yeah. My ex-in-laws don't even see my kid. I think they haven't seen her in maybe 10 years. We bumped into each other the other day.
Mm.
They don't even know what school she's in, actually. Yeah. So, in a way, I'm blessed because nobody has a particular opinion on how I raise my kid. And I'm also very blessed with a lot of people recently meeting a lot of people in the community, a lot of parents, a lot of moms, a lot of dads. My forum, everyone has stepped up to support her. And yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah. So I'm luckier. I think more you guys would have more.
Actually, I think my dad never interferes.
Yeah.
Not even my in-laws also not much.
Similar because I'm very close with my mom, and she is very supportive, but no interference and no judgment. So I'm also very blessed.
Oh, both of you. I feel
How
like
do
this
you
one
feel
is
like
It's a
this?
Singaporean thing, right?
It's a Singaporean thing.
I think for us, like, what's important is that we both come to an agreement because ultimately we are Ella's parents.
Correct.
And we will make the decisions for her at this point in time. So
Yeah.
I see that the challenge is between us and not like
No,
our
I agree with
parents.
that. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not really affected by it, but I just accept the fact that it's normal to have different opinions. And yeah, we just gotta work it out between us. What he wants or what I want or something in between.
So what's the one thing you really want to work on? Between the both of you?
Between the both of us
Yeah.
as a parent.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think one of the thing is like diet, because like he's really strict with his diet, and he has a sense of what Ella should be eating at this age because between 2 and 5 they grow very fast, and it's like very important years where they develop their brain and the basic blocks of a child. But for me, it's like I just want her to try everything, see what she likes. But then again, of course, like no sugary stuff, no sweet, and like not a big problem, but
Yeah. Yeah.
No, every opinion is valid. Yeah. So
Yeah.
don't dim your voice.
Yeah. Not a big problem. I think I also have been more flexible now. My diet.
yeah,
So
for sure.
that helps a lot. At the same time, when I see a kid eat carbs or sugary stuff, you can see why it's addictive. Like you understand, right? And me also changing my diet when I go back to certain groups of food that I don't really eat, I can see why it's enjoyable. It is enjoyable. And I guess going back to what our comment just now is like, just because it's enjoyable or it's entertaining for the kid, you know, doesn't mean that you give it to them, especially if they're younger. Right?
But then this also I play a devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
So probably your viewpoint of the diet is a gold standard, right?
Yeah.
Let's say what Agnes has in mind is like, okay lah, 80 and above maybe, it's still relatively healthy, like she's cut out processed food and sugar and all those, but why is that not good enough? Why it has to be this gold standard, right?
And also, I mean, now that boy is in his mid-20s. my uni friend's son. And she was a single mother, and she was trying so hard to give her boy everything she could while working a full-time job. And once she visited me, and the boy only wanted rice and egg and soya sauce. And at that time, I was aghast because I was also in that phase of everything organic, a balanced bowl. And only when she said, actually, do you know this is the only thing he would eat? And he would eat nothing else. And then I realized it's like between not eating and eating something, even if it was just rice and a fried egg, she chose the path of least resistance because it's not for forever. It was for a period of about 1 year in that boy's life. Was 7 at that time. Very crucial year. But that was the best she could do. And at 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, he became more adventurous because then when you take the long view, that is not forever. So what? Now he's 25. So what? When he was 7, he only ate rice and egg for 365 days.
Yeah.
It's
Not a
not for
coincidence because that's what I did for a long period of my life. Yeah, it's almost the same age. I only eat soy sauce, rice, and egg.
He
Egg white.
refused. Yeah, he refused to eat anything, and he was underweight. And instead of making every meal time a struggle and friction, eventually she gave in, and he grew out of it himself.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
Mine was a bit different. So maybe that would have happened. I'm not sure. But in my opinion, in my experience, what happened was my grandmother on my paternal side was telling my father, "Your kid is too skinny. You send him to me." And she's a Cantonese. She's a really good cook. So the first day I went there, she's like, "I'm going to make 8 dishes for you. You don't need to finish it. Just try. You like anything, you just tell me. The next day I'll cook it." And so that was a little bit different. So for me, it was like I tried, and I was like, "Yeah, I like this. I like this. I like this." Now and then, I got used to this abundance of selection and variety, right? And so every day she would cook me like for just one boy like 4 dishes, 5 dishes, and then I became obese. So actually, I don't know whether that was good or bad. But I think me being also in the food and wine industry, for me, when people come to my house, the first thing I tell them, because they always ask me, "You only eat this way. How can you eat this way?" I was like, "Only reason why I can eat this way because it tastes good. Come to my house and I'll show you." So usually they come, then they eat, and then they're like, "Oh." So my thinking is always it's a little bit like my grandmother, which is if the kid doesn't want to eat this, I will find a version that they will like. I will make a version that they will like, and then they will used to eating all these things. So in some ways, yes, I agree. We are going to give her a variety of foods. At the same time, not all the foods that we eat today are well farmed, I would say. Right?
But sometimes it's like, how much control do you have? I mean, I've had friends who remember in Melbourne those days, they were so controlled in KL. The moment they arrived Australia, they went crazy.
I know
They
that
were
as well.
gamblers. They took drugs. Everything they just went haywire. They needed to do that. They needed like 2 years of that to get it all out of the system. But it's because they were never allowed to ever show their true colors in their parents' eyes that they were like that.
I like that example.
Or
actually.
freedom of choice, right? Everything
Yeah, yeah.
dictated for you.
So then there was sometimes when the parents come, when we go for bak kut teh, and they'll make bak kut teh in the house. I'm like, oh, you're a very different person. Then she's like, oh, don't tell them that, I need to be prim and proper in front of them.
Bak kut teh is not prim and proper.
No, I mean like in front of them, she doesn't go out. She doesn't go to Crown. She doesn't. she doesn't.
Right.
Yeah,
Got
she
it,
doesn't
got it.
drink.
Understand.
She just stays at home, make bak kut teh for all the other Malaysians, cook dinner for us. We do healthy
I see.
healthy, good things as
Yeah, I see.
students, you know.
I definitely understand where she's coming from.
Yeah.
And you also have to be careful of this, you know, like so for most of my kids, growing up period, I cook for them, and I'm quite generous with my portioning
Portions,
in
yeah.
terms of okay, there's some carb and a lot of other things like protein and so on. So sometimes when they go out and they look at the same dish, for example, like gyudon, they go out and they look at it and they turn to me and say, "Mama, scam." I said, I said, "What do you
I
mean
love them
scam?"
already.
Because outside gyudon is like a lot of rice and maybe
pieces.
3 pieces of meat. Whereas at home they eat rice and filled with all of
I
it.
think I'll get along with them a lot.
And I say, no, honey, it's not a scam. Because when they say scam, they get angry. They feel like they are really being scammed. I say, no, it's not scam. A restaurant food is really like that. If you want, you can order
You spoil
extra
them lah, basically.
portions. Yeah. Because that is the reality that they know. And that was the consequences that I had to shoulder because I showed them a different way. So obviously there was more work when then I had to cook more frequently to satisfy their expectations. But it kind of balanced out eventually at the end. But the first time they went out and they said, "Oh, this one scam, that one scam, that one scam."
So cute.
And I said, "No, no, that is regular food."
It's so cute.
Then you also find out that in Malaysia, oh, they overload on carbs.
Yes.
Like you go to any hawker center, you order any noodles and it's just noodles and one piece of protein for show. It's really for show.
One piece of prawn or
Yeah.
2 slices of chicken, right?
Yeah. So it's scam, scam, scam.
Sounds like you now, though.
Sounds like
he still
me.
does it.
Scam. So little meat scam. So I eat at home mostly, right? But yeah, I see that. That's a good perspective.
I think at the end of the day, it's really no about it's that journey.
Yeah.
Also.
I think what we've been talking about, and actually it's not coincidence. I've been talking to Agnes about it, and thanks for giving me the other perspective. Is this whole idea of control, right? I think as a parent, innately you want to control some things
Because we always think we already know better lah, we already optimize, right? Why you want? But precisely they need to go through and find out for themselves sometimes.
yeah. So learning how to let go of that sense.
I'm also learning to, because I have a mid-teen and I have a young adult. Actually, it's a
Adult
proper
lah,
adult.
yeah.
So with the two, is also more like I'll provide for the teenager and I'll support her and say, okay, what do you need? Okay, you want to do baking? Let me get butter for you. Okay, so I provide all of that for her. She just has to tell me her interest. Whereas with the adult, it's like, if you want it, I'll support you. But you have to ask for it. You have to find out about it. You have to decide. Because I don't want at the end of the day turn out, oh, Mama told me to do this, and so I did it. Now it all went haywire. It's Mama's fault. So I also don't want to interfere too much. Even if I know my way is the best way, the most efficient, the lowest cost, highest return, fastest way, whatever, all of that is nonsense in the face of his own decision making process. So even if he goes a longer way, as long as his safety is not compromised, then he should go the longer way. So that it is a lesson he experiences rather than one that is shoved down his throat.
Yeah.
Agree with that. So that's that. In response to that, what I try to do, maybe it's not the best, but it's like I'm telling Agnes like the food at home must taste the best. they taste the best food here. When they go out, they're like, oh, I only like my father's cooking, right? And maybe I don't know whether that's good or not, but I I mean, I have deeper commentary, right? Because I'm involved in the industry. So I know what gets put in, right? And I know there are things that are corners that are cut, right? Because you need to run a business. I get it. And then in my house, when I cook, I don't really need to run a business. I try to give the best we can give to the kid. So I think outside, like you said, if it's mostly carbs and a little bit of meat, there's nothing wrong with enjoying that meal. At the same time, it's like it's not sufficient for a growing child. Right? I myself as an adult, have experienced that myself. As I experiment with my diets, when there was a period where I was just playing around, right? I was like, okay, how much can I eat? Let's eat as much protein and fat as possible and see what happens. And I found that actually I could gain back some muscle mass without much training, which was new to me. And the second part, which is really can't gain weight beyond a certain point. Your body will just tell you to stop. Impossible to go more. But if I ate certain other food groups, if you gave me a steak, maybe I will stop at 1 kg. But if you gave me bowls of rice, probably could eat more than a kg. And so for me, it's like the body, in some sense, it's designed to reward you on certain things. And for other things, it has a mechanism to stop you. So for me, it's like as I eat now, the even when I eat just carbs, if I eat an unprocessed carb, like a potato, and I boil it and I eat it, which I've been trying recently, you can't really gain weight. Impossible. I've been eating so many potatoes. She knows the last like 1 week, and I'm not gaining weight. Like I'm just maintaining weight. But if you gave me like especially more processed type of carbs like rice,
Yeah, because it's
or you
processed
gain weight
lah.
so quick, right? So quick. And so for me, it's like, how do I make my food at home, or at least the food that my kid eats, like has to, in some sense, it doesn't have to be more tasty, but it has to be tasty enough. Because like when I see like some of these snacks for these babies, like they open the can, it can be like 2 arms length away, and I can smell it. I'm like, no blueberry tastes this strong. No matter how good it's been sourced, even if it's a wild blueberry, you pick it, it cannot be this strong. So they're so used to these very strong flavors. I think in Malaysia maybe it's quite pertinent, right? Because you have
Yes.
a high rate of obesity in this country, and
It can get very frustrating, especially for the person who cooks at home. When the family member look at it and say, "Oh, it doesn't taste like what it looks like in the restaurant." Yes, because I didn't put 4 tablespoons of sugar in it. And I tell them, the moment you can taste the sweetness, that means it is already too sweet. Because how much sugar must you put into a dish in order for the sweetness to be apparent? That's why in Chinese it's called 调味. You adjust the flavors. So to adjust the flavor is only a little bit to adjust it, only a little bit to adjust it. So my things at home very simple is salt, pepper, olive oil. I use soya sauce. Once in a while I use oyster sauce. And that's it. And with a very limited ingredient list, I have to somehow try and make a variety of things to suit their palate. Then I just let them know, okay, once in a while we have a cheat day, we go outside and eat. I don't care about how deep fried it is. But at home, there are certain limits to what I can put on the table. And don't treat me like a short order cook and say, you want this, and you want this, and you want this, you want this. I can't do that. So it's not a matter of making everyone happy. It's a matter of trying our best with what we have.
Aligning expectation lah. You get home cooked food, then I mean, unless you're Colin lah, right? You cook like a chef, but it's not like home cook is simple but nutritious lah.
I cook very simply, actually.
Mm.
Maybe I put in effort to try to find a better ingredient so I can do that. I think that's what we all try to do. So for me, exactly the same. So when I do like, say in Chinese New Year, I do like a peng chai or something. I will tell everyone like, stop and make from scratch. I didn't add any sugar, and no added sugar, really. And I usually try to not tell them before they eat it. So they'll eat it first. They're like, "Oh, it's so nice." I'll be like, "Yeah, I didn't put this." Like how? It's possible, right? It is possible.
It is. It is. The other day, I came back from eating peri peri chicken, and because my mom doesn't go out nowadays because of health, I thought, oh, I want to make this for my mom. So I went and googled how to make peri peri chicken. Then I saw the ingredients list. It's bell pepper, salt,
Yeah.
and a few other all fresh vegetables and
Ingredients,
ingredients. So I got all of that, blitzed up, and made the sauce and roasted 2 chickens. Compared to you buy a jar
Yeah.
of peri peri sauce and say, okay, what is in that? I don't know. But you just have to look online, and there are so many recipes that you can easily create with some effort. You see, everything is whole food, a whole bell pepper, whole garlic, whole onion, whole everything. Blitz it up. It's still whole food.
Yeah. How important is diet for you guys, like for your kids?
Um, it's important to me. So both my kids know that I try to cook healthy food for them, and I try to limit their sugar intake in terms of drinks. But in terms of sugar intake, in terms of food, like let's say a cookie treat once in a while, I just close my eyes because that is also a hobby for my daughter. She gets 2 3 of her friends. She comes back in. Yeah, of course, some time is spent rolling around on the floor in the room playing with the device, and suddenly all of them troop into the kitchen and start making cookies, and say, okay, that's good because it's all done from scratch, and I love that these kids are saying, I want to make a cookie and I want to make it from scratch. So I don't interfere in that. But their main meals, yeah, like you have your protein, you have your vegetables.
Yes. What else topics? We only have 5 minutes left, so
I'm getting hungry.
Okay.
You're talking about food.
So for me, right, if you ask how important is food, of course we try to eat better, less processed food, whole food, right? I would like to say I don't control the kids too much. But like Maggie mee and all is like once a month kind of thing. They'll ask permission. But I think also as they see how you eat, right? So tendency for us also less sugar. Like we have cakes and chocolates expire in the fridge. Nobody will go because it's just not what they're used to eating. So you don't have to tell them don't eat. They just don't crave it lah. As they develop their own.
okay, I think we're wrapping up. Let's wrap up.
So is there like a one word closure?
No,
Forum style.
Yeah.
I think maybe let's just go through. We only have 4 minutes, so let's just go through. I mean, this is a new experience for a lot. For me, it's a new experience. So maybe just
Do you want to do
one
like
takeaway.
a goodbye or like you want any B rolls?
No, let's just do the takeaway. I think I want to do the takeaway.
So you don't want to have anything that because usually what people will do, like even Alfred, it'll be like you have an ending.
I know. Yes,
so.
here's
Yeah.
the ending.
Because then you would have some B roll. Now you have 0.
Yeah, now we have 0.
Yeah.
It's okay. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because we only have 3 minutes. I want the takeaway because I think like in the moment it will be different than when you. I
Okay, you guys start.
can whoever's ready. Okay, I'll go first then. I think for me, yeah, this is really interesting. I'm very used to like one-on-one. So for me, it's easier to go like really in depth, and then I'm also looking at where the topics are going. So it's nice to see the direction, the natural flow of the topics going. At the same time, as the moderator, it's tough because it's like I might I might want it to go in a certain direction. At the same time, it's like it's difficult to control. Also, at the same time, if I'm doing that, I can't listen well. So for me, it's like, how do I focus on listening and also moderate? I think it's quite difficult. So maybe in the future, maybe if I'm moderator or whoever takes the role of the moderator, I suspect that person, maybe the role is moderator, not contributor per se.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just my
it has to be.
biggest, that's my
Moderators
biggest
are-
takeaway. Yeah, that's my biggest.
Are the ones that ask the question. So you need to lead.
Exactly.
I didn't realize we needed so many cameras. Very cool. My takeaway is I want to set up a podcast studio. Now I know what I need to buy. Very cool.
I think we covered quite a few topics. Not just two, we planned for two, but it was more than that. And there's like a serious part, and then there was like a funny part. A good range. But yeah, and like explaining of different age group versus younger. But there was a point when off topic, right?
Yeah, I definitely
We
went off
didn't talk about
topics.
parenting. I was like, yeah, we still on parenting. And I asked
Yeah.
another
So
question.
like I'm saying, like as a moderator, it's quite
Yeah.
tough because I was like,
Is you're
how,
speaking, you're listening.
how do
and
I
then
go?
you're-
I have a flow, right? Like if I'm the participant, I have a flow and I keep going.
Yeah.
But as a moderator, I'm like, wait, I need to moderate myself also.
Yeah, you can't just start talking about yourself
Yeah.
too much.
Correct,
Like-
correct, exactly.
It's okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Something new. I like it.
I think at the end of the day, parenting is that we just hope that our kids turn out the best versions of themselves, right? Without us being the hindrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.